Hello and welcome to Herring the Hawthorn. My name's Kate Ray and I'm your host. And this evening on the virtual sofa, we have a slightly controversial, well, quite controversial paranormal investigator from way over the pond in the States. So he sent ripples out within the paranormal community for some of his controversial endeavours, really, with how he uses his methodology on investigations. He has investigated a raft of different places over in the States, and the one that stands out for me is definitely Bobby Mackey's, and I will be asking him about his experiences there and what he's done. So I would hope that you will all give my next guest a big warm welcome. His name's Stephen, and I'm going to get this right. I swear I'm going to try and get this right. Erkintalo, is that right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. It's really nice to have you here. And we've been chatting a little bit beforehand about different things that you've done and different places that you've been to. And I want to start really about where I start with most of my guests and talk to you about what got you into the crazy world of paranormal. What was the starting point for you?
So I would say kind of goes back probably to everybody else's like paranormal experiences as a child. Everybody has a story to tell as a child. And I'm very open with mine about the mental abuse I've been through, the physical abuse, all that, amazing stuff. Growing up, and I isolated myself a lot because I was bullied a lot and everything, with my upbringing and people at school. So being that I isolated myself, I would talk to myself and, create an imaginary friend. And I'm not saying I ever seen this friend, but I would start hearing things in my head, like different voices, different tones from a kid, a woman. You could tell the difference between when you're talking to somebody maybe in their 20s and their 80s. Their tone's just different. Mm-hmm. And I was hearing the replies back in my head, and then I started hearing things and whatnot. And I was probably about, 12 to 15, 16. There's a lot that happened in between that time, but once we moved out of the house and I, got older, I've traveled the country, I kind of put the paranormal out of my mind. Mm-hmm. Sure, I watched movies. I love the movies about it all. I didn't watch Ghost Hunters. I didn't watch Ghost Adventures. That wasn't an interest to me. And so I would say, I was like, between 12 and 15, and I'm 34 now. And I started about 5 years ago is when I was sitting in my house in Fort Myers, Florida, and I turned on the TV. I heard, Ghost Adventures was just the thing then. They came out, they started doing their thing, blah, blah, blah. And so I seen on social media a lot. I turned on one of their episodes, and I already knew of them at the time. And when I watched it, I just thought, I could do this, but better. And I was like, what are they doing? They're asking for knocks. And it all registered in my head, all the things that I seen and grew up with and experience. So that was really the start of it. I created a team called Superior Paranormal with a buddy of mine. We went to St. Augustine, Florida, and we didn't even really investigate anything. We kind of just investigated the Huguenot Cemetery, which is outside of the old fort, which Ghost Adventures did do one of their episodes. And we just kind of dabbled in that. And then we went to a location in Cedar Key, Florida, and then Casadega, Florida. And we got some great footage, but there was something that happened when I was in Casadega, Florida. We did the typical same stuff that everyone else does now with the K2 meters. Can you make a noise? Can you make a knock? Are you here, little girl? Very respectful things, just kind of, typical paranormal stuff. We were sitting outside, though, or standing outside on the porch in Casadega, Florida, at the Casadega Hotel. And we both heard a hello from a little girl, and we both looked at each other and turned around. Nobody was there. It was like 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. Right then and there that changed everything for me. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. I don't know if a lot of mediums and stuff will say maybe it was a demonic thing. Maybe it was a real child. But to be honest, I actually don't remember a lot after that. I don't remember leaving the hotel. Mm-hmm. I don't remember much of anything at home, but I do remember not wanting to watch these shows anymore. I just remember there has to be more to this, and something triggered in my brain to start pushing the envelope, pushing the buttons, pushing the boundaries, because honestly I don't know why. That voice literally changed everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it said was hello. I don't know why, but that was the main thing, honestly, that just got me
So what do you
go.
think? What do you think that was? I mean, if you had that time lapse, do you think that that was something other than just a sort of a regular human ghost, or do you think it was something that that kind of interacted with you to change the way that you worked? What kind of feeling did you get from that? Was it a fear factor thing? Was it just a surprised reaction that you had?
It was more of a surprise. Like I expected to turn around and honestly see somebody there,
Mm-hmm.
or see just like a family like walking by, and it was just a little girl saying hello to us from a distance. But when we turned around and looked, nobody was there. It was more of a shock value. Like, that did that just happen? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm older now. Like, kids are more acceptable to this. They're innocent. It's just theoretically they're able to, hear things more. So as a kid, I understood. As a grown adult, it really shocked me because that was the first time I heard something as a grown adult.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I think it was? Looking back now to where I am in this field, what I've done in the field, the all the stuff that I've accomplished in this field, I do feel, and I think about this regularly when I slow my world down and kind of just think about things, I do feel like it was something that happened to change everything, because it's hard for me to, like, I don't like speaking about myself too much about it because I don't like to come off arrogant and cocky and everything
Mm-hmm.
about it. But I know personally that I've left an indent in an image on this field.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have. TV shows have talked about what I've done. Over here in the States, other locations have changed their waivers because of me. People know either of me or the things that I've done, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't know who did it.
Yeah.
And regardless of that, if that voice never happened, my imprint and energy would not be what it is in this field.
Yeah.
And so I feel like whether it was a real child doing it, whether it was energy, whether it was whatever it was, it definitely, I feel like, happened in order for me to happen.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
because I wouldn't.
Sorry, that's quite a common story, and it's something that a lot of the guests that I've had on have talked about, that they have lots of little things that go on during the childhood. They have this period where it's a lot quieter for them, and they don't really consider what's gone on in the childhood, and then they have this catalyst moment, this moment of almost clarity, which changes the direction. And it's something that is very, very common, and it's almost like switching on a light bulb, isn't it, of knowing where you want to go and how you want to move forward. So talk a little bit about how that transpired. How did you start moving forward in a different way than maybe you would have done, or from your contemporaries around you? So from people who were doing it around you, you started doing something different. What were those kind of things that you were doing different?
So I'm trying to remember, because a lot of it is very, like, blacky outish.
Yeah.
Because what I really started doing after, from what I can remember, after I heard the voice and up to when I started doing whatever it is I was doing, I was honestly, I started out by voicing out more, questioning everything. I questioned everybody's footage. I said, this isn't accurate. And people weren't liking it because they're like, you're new to this field. What do you know? But something in me, something in my head, and this is going to sound weird, I instantly just knew. Like, I just knew. And I stuck by that for 5 years that I've been in this. And it's now showing that it wasn't just a gimmick. It's the truth, because everything I've said about this, the equipment, is true. But what I started doing differently, I started out just by voicing out, using social media as a platform to say, this isn't right, this isn't right, this is how technology works, you're doing this wrong. And I know a lot of people can say, well, there's no right or wrong in the paranormal. Well, there is, because if you hold a K2 meter down like this, it's the electromagnetic energy is actually facing the ground. You hold a K2 meter up. So there is a right or wrong way to do things in the paranormal. And I started educating people on that because a lot of people just did not know. So that's some of the things I started doing differently, just the basics. Now, whenever I was with people and we went out, that was a very rare thing for me to do, because it was, I got bored very easily, and I addressed that very, very bluntly, very to the point. So I kind of just stayed away from that because I knew that it would cause drama. But if I saw it, I still respected what they were doing. But let's say there's an incident where somebody pulled out their phone and they wanted to use an app. And I started laughing. And I remember this because they got upset about it. And I was like, tell me how this is going to prove anything. You tell me that this is 100% solid proof. Oh, well, the paranormal isn't really proof. It's just if you can't explain it, then that means it's paranormal. I was like, well, I can't explain to you like why bees can fly and like they're technically not supposed to because their wings are too small for their body weight, but they do it anyway. So that doesn't like it didn't make sense to me. So I said, you know what? I'm done investigating with people. Pulled out a Ouija board. That was the most controversial thing at the time. Nobody touched a Ouija board. Now I love that everybody does it all of a sudden, but nobody touched a Ouija board. And I went live on Facebook and it blew up. People were like, oh my God, he's using a Ouija board. What is he doing? He doesn't know what he's doing, blah, 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 blah. And all the hate started coming in. And I know we kind of briefly talked about that, why I took a year off. I won't get into details about that just because I don't want if people know me and have followed me, they know why I took a year off.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to put things in people's heads and have that come back to me once again. But so when I took the year off, my grandma, who she passed away 2 years ago, she actually knew something was wrong because I went up to stay at their house. Mm-hmm. Being they raised me and my grandpa passed away, so I was taking care of my grandma for a little bit, making sure she was okay. And she knew something was wrong. She's like, "What's wrong? You're not doing the paranormal no more. There's something going on." I explained to her, and she pretty much just said, "F it, do it your way." They're already mad. They're already talking. Like, what's the big deal? Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, you're right. So I pulled out a Ouija board again, went live, and it went even more. It went even bigger. Like people were wondering, where were you? What were you doing? Then I sliced myself and cut myself, put blood on it. That took it to a new level. Then I realized this is what I love. I was getting real results. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, like the more, I never used the plan chat. I never use that. I know a lot of people say it works. I don't believe it works. I've used Ouija boards all the time and it has never moved for me. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I put a spirit box on it. Mm-hmm. Technology version of the Ouija board, same exact thing. It just scans frequency, white noise. I would put that on the spirit box and I would go live on Facebook. Everybody would hear the same replies. So mm-hmm. It's not like I'm sitting there and putting a word at the top of the screen telling you guys, listen to what this says, and it says it, you read it, so you're going to hear it. That's manipulation. I don't care what anyone says. It's just what it is. Mm-hmm. And when you're live and you don't say what you heard, but you got everybody hearing the same thing through a spirit box, yeah, I like that speaks volume to me. Yeah. And that's what I started doing differently. And I was like, this works for me. I feel comfortable doing this. Mm-hmm. And I said, this is the path I needed to go down. So I started adding human ashes to it. I started putting a noose around my neck. I put a gun to my head, a loaded gun, cocked it back. Like I took it to the extremes that nobody in this field has, because I knew that if I wanted the real results, the real answers, the real shadow figures running by, if I wanted the real EVPs like I got at Bobby Mackey's, that's on Conjuring Mackey's, that I never, which we'll talk about that, I'm sure, but I never took the EVP recorder from Conjuring Mackey's back home, put it in my computer. Like, if for those that watch it, you see me grab the audio recorder from behind me and I play it back right there. Mm-hmm. And you could hear things. So it's things like, now it's after I put a noose around my neck. So what I was doing was working. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like how I just separated myself. And I mean, I've hung upside down on an 8-foot cross and over a pentagram and had blood drip on it. It worked. Things happen. And
why do you think that works? What is it that compels you to do that? And then what is it that you think happens to sort of trigger the responses that you're getting? What's going through your brain first of all when you're sort of setting yourself up for those things? I mean, I'm specifically fascinated with. I work with Ouija boards on a regular basis. I'm all for it. I love it. But for me, the kind of the click for me was very much the images of you. It was your hands, wasn't it? You'd cut your hands. Was it your hands that you cut? Yeah.
I cut like my finger. Like a lot of people do think like I slice my palm. That's gonna hurt. I work out a lot and I use my hands a lot. I don't want to hurt my hands. Yeah. And so I actually just slice my middle finger just a little bit, and it just bleeds a lot. That's all I do. So I don't slice my wrist or anything crazy. Just my finger.
So what got you up to that point where you thought, I'm going to try this out? That's something that I need to do.
All the hate that I got, it was more or less, I'm going to give them a reason to hate even more. And it's never been done. And I wanted to test the boundaries. I wanted to test the limits. Everybody out there says the paranormal is real, demons are real, ghosts are real, but there has not one shred of evidence that proves that it exists. It exists to whoever documented it. Well, yeah, because you were there. Of course it exists. For that person, it exists for your fans and your followers. It exists for those who are on the fence, but does it exist for those who totally don't believe? When I started doing this, not only did it, I mean, I'll admit at first I did it just to, honestly, just to piss other people off. And I was like, I'm going to do it just because I want them to talk. I want people to look. I want people to watch what I'm about to do. And when I realized it actually worked, that's when I was more intrigued with it. And I was turning heads that people never watched the paranormal. They didn't believe in the paranormal. Now they watch it. And not only do they watch it, they're watching me because I showed them how to do things. I mean, I got people bleeding all over their Ouija board now. And to me, that's amazing because they're getting results. So I feel like at first I just started it for the hate. I just wanted people to hate me more, give them a reason to talk. And now I do it, like how I do it, like when I put a noose around my neck or a gun to my head, or when I laid on the train tracks, I'm recreating how people died. And they died in that spot, or close to that spot. If nobody kind of really knows at times, they just know that it happened. And to me, that's just recreating that energy. And by doing that, I feel like, and it's been proven on my end, and that it charges it. You're just charging it. You're sparking it, kind of like a dead battery. All you're doing is igniting that energy, and boom, setting it off. So I'm not saying that whole energy is just going to pop up and recreate the whole scene around you and you're going to document like a Hollywood movie, like you go back in time, but something does happen, and something has happened every single time I do that. And I don't just say that to say it, like it's on video. Everybody can go look at my stuff. It's literally on video. There's no me, he said, she said when it comes to me, except for the fact, that the kid's voice that I heard in Cedar Key, I don't have that recorded, but that's foreplay compared to the stuff that I've done. So to me, I don't care if that's proof or not. I've elevated to what I am now, but so that's why I do it.
What kind of reaction? I mean, I've seen kind of a real mixed bag and I think the British people will understand the terminology of Marmite. People either really understand you and are big fans of your work and big fans of what you're doing and how you progress in things. And then you've got this other side where people are incredibly doubtful and like you say, quite hateful towards the work that you're doing. In terms of how people have accepted, because I very much believe that when you put your energy into that space, when you put your energy into a space of how somebody's died, and you are feeling that first throw and your energy is pumping out there, that is a great way of triggering stuff happening. But I can almost in the back of my head hear people from the paranormal community going, that's not respectful for the person who's died. So what kind of reaction have you got from that end, and how have you dealt with that? Because that must be quite difficult to deal with.
It was and that's really it. That's what they've said. You're provoking, you're not being respectful. Okay. How many human beings you run into that aren't respectful to you in human form? I'm not doing anything that wasn't done to this being while they were alive. I'm just recreating what they did. I'm not telling them to go F themselves or come over here and let me kill you again or do this. I'm just recreating what has already happened. I'm doing nothing more than what Hollywood does when they recreate scenes in CSI or NCIS or all of these things. So it's my hate is a little different, and I know we talked about that, so I'll just talk about it. The hate that I've got has been far more than you're mean to the field, you're doing this. It's been more or less because nobody's ever criticized my work. Nobody, and if they do, literally, oh, you're bald, you have muscles, blah blah blah. That's the hate that I've gotten, like, because nobody can talk bad about my work. And So what they do is they say that I have raped women, that I've abused women, that I've sex trafficked minors. These were actual blogs written with names out. Like they used my brother's name. They used names and created this, and it blew up all over the field, over here in the States anyways. So that to me took it to a whole new level of hate. It was more like, do I let it go? But those are things you just don't really say about people. Like locations banned me, and we'll go back to why. That's why I took a year off. For everybody that probably wonder why I took a year off, that's why, because I was actually banned from locations because this over here in the States, it's such a he said, she said. Nobody here puts in work. Nobody does work around here. Everybody just shares memes. They listen to what they want to listen to, and nobody actually goes and investigates. So when I go and actually do these things and say these things, I get it at all angles, like left, right, up, down, and it doesn't matter what it is about. It's just hate, 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 hate. So how I handled it at first was quitting. I stopped for a year. Then I came back and I realized, you know what? I'm going to just take on everybody. Like, I'm just going to take everybody. Like, good, give me it. Because all it's doing is fueling my fire, fueling it. And I created this alter ego. After that year break, and I bled on the Ouija board, and I did this, I found my niche, and I found my alter ego. And when that camera's on, it's go time. Like, I shut the Stephen Erkintalo that sits down and eats Oreos and plays Pokemon Go and sits in his boxers and does nothing all day. That guy is completely gone out the window. Now it's go time. I'm coming for everybody. I'm gunning at everybody. And if your name comes to mind, I'm going to attack your name. I'm going to attack everything you are, because I just don't care at this point. Because in my mind, if you've ever even backed somebody that has said those horrible things to me, I'm coming for you too. And a lot of people will say, man, it's been years. Why do you let it go? Well, because you haven't gotten it like I've gotten it. Like, have you gotten hate that said you sex traffic minors? That hurts you pretty bad. Have you been told that you rape women? That's a big deal, especially nowadays. That's a big deal. And abuse women. Like, I was like, you haven't gotten it that way, so don't tell me how to react. So then I got those people that I got to now. So not only is it the people that are attacking me and hating me for no reason just because they don't like me, now I got to defend myself towards people that are jumping and telling me to let this go. Like, dude, don't tell me how to act just because somebody told you that your footage is fake and be there. Like, don't tell me how to react. Like, we could have the same exact dog. It can die the same exact way, same age. I'm gonna react different than you are because that's just emotionally what makes us individuals. So that's how I handle it. And I do have a chip on my shoulder. I mean, you can see, like, from the beginning of this interview to how I'm speaking now. Like, obviously, still, it will get me
raw.
going, and it does. And I keep two chips on my shoulder. And I'll cash them in every single time that I feel it's necessary, whether anybody likes it or not. They can be like, let it go. No. Now I'm going to cash it in more. Now I'm going to come at you too. And people will be like, to me, that's helped me. That honestly has helped my fan base grow, because they're like, wow, like, we need somebody like that. Like, he's actually speaking out. Like, he's a real person. He's not just hiding under the blankets and delivering a little bit of footage here and there. He's nonstop drilling these people. And again, like, I found that works for me, and it's not a niche. It's not a cliche. It's me all day, every day. When we're done with this, I'll go on Facebook, and if it triggers something that happened 2 years ago, I'll address it on Facebook right away. And people think that it recently just happened, but in reality, I'm like, no, it sparked something, and I got an issue with it, and I'm going to address it again because I'm not letting it go. So it's helped me a lot, but I use it as an outlet. So I figured out how to tap into everything that's happened to me and said about me and use it within the paranormal as well. I'll address you, I'll call you out, I'll do this, but it works because now I can target you and be like, your methods don't work, mine do. Watch me prove you wrong and make you look foolish at the same time, because I'm gonna succeed and you're gonna stay where you are. So to me, I used it, I used my pain as a gain. And I don't know personally, it won't work for everybody. People have tried it and they just it's not in their character. For me, it works for me because it's my character. It's what I feel like I was meant to do. I don't know. It kind of sounds weird, like what you were meant to be a bully. I'm not saying I'm a bully. There's a difference between me bullying people and me defending something. And in my opinion, it's still being talked about, because I still get messages where people say that I do this, and it's been years. So I feel like until it dies down, I have all right to continue to keep defending my name, and I will, even until the day I die, and all it's doing is they don't realize it's making me grow.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think one of the things that I have seen about your social media platforms is that the people who do follow you, who are on a fan base, do really appreciate the fact that you are very open and honest about who you are and the things that you go through. You are a real person within that domain, and I think that that's quite refreshing for a lot of people to see that, you know, that you're not hiding behind anything. You are just completely open about the things that you do and why you're doing them, and for to turn that kind of you know, those accusations into something that's a real big driving force is a massive thing. You know, that it sounds like it really charges you for those kind of investigations. And I mean, that's the thing with us. You know, as a paranormal investigator, I know that you have to be on a different energy level when you're in there, when you're doing it, and having that energy pumped in you's definitely got to be a plus. Did this incident, was this incident be, because I want to talk to you about the Bobby Mackey. Again, that's something that kind of, it has filtered through over here in the UK, sort of, and I think that was through, was it Katrina? Which
Katrina,
program? Yeah, I can't remember which program it was on where she went.
I think it was Destination America or Travel Channel. It was Portals to Hell, though.
Yeah, Portals to Hell. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. And she makes reference to you, and I'd already seen footage of you before then. So, can you talk us through sort of the run up to that and the kind of the actual night, because it looks, the whole visual thing of it's amazing. Just to watch it, it's very, very interesting.
The whole. So we'll start so Conjuring Mackies is something that's what they were referring to. And what a lot of people don't know about that is it wasn't even supposed to be filmed. Like, it was like I was just going to go up there and throw an event. And a week before, my, I don't know what to call her, like my manager or something or whatever, somebody helping me out, like organize my life, because it was on a roller coaster ride at that time. Mm-hmm. She's like, why don't we just film like a documentary, like a real raw, let's just make it like, just go in it. I was like, okay. So we had a week to prepare for this. So I'm surprised it even turned out the way it did. And I know it doesn't have a lot of views on YouTube, but it sparked the attention of major networks. And I'm okay with it having no views compared to sparking the attention of that. Mm-hmm. So we get there, film like I normally do, everything. And yeah, I don't, on Conjuring Mackies though, if people watch it on YouTube, I do not bleed there. I don't think I do anyways. I've honestly never watched it. I never watched the whole thing because I was there. I edited it, so I didn't watch it. But it somehow it got out there. Some type of footage got out there that I did bleed in the well. And for those that don't know, the well at Bobby Mackey's is supposed to be the portal to hell, a demonic well, and the history is all explained in Conjuring Mackies. I won't get too deep into that unless you guys want to know. But yeah, I cut myself on the Ouija board. I cut myself in the well. That's where I put the noose around my neck, and I did a lot of crazy things. I even put a razor blade to some girl's throat as she laid underneath the railings in her head over the well. I put the razor blade to her throat, and I told her, don't move. Like, this razor blade was in her throat. Mm-hmm. And if she would have moved, it really would have cut her throat, but I wanted to be that intense with it. But it got around that when Katrina went there with Jack Osborne in Portals to Hell, I'm sitting down somewhere, and all of a sudden, I don't watch those TV shows at all, but it got around to me. People are like blowing my phone up about, man, they're talking about you on TV. They're talking about you. You were mentioned this and this. They're talking about Mackey's bleeding in the well. I'm like, what is going on? Who is? So I checked it out, and now they didn't mention my name, but this is what I love is I branded myself so well that when people heard bleeding in a well with the Ouija board or whatever, they instantly knew who it was. Mm-hmm. And I got the biggest smile on my face because I'm like, they didn't even mention my name, but people knew who it was. Mm-hmm. And I got messages. I did get messages, some from the UK, Canada, all over the United States. And so I decided to watch it, oh my God, this is weird. Speaking of Bobby Mackey's, mm-hmm. Bishop James Long, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He was actually in episode 1 of Ghost Ventures, season 1. He was there at Mackey's. He just messaged me.
Wow.
Yeah, literally just messaged me and said, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Hope everything's cool. I think that's kind of weird that we're talking about Bobby Mackey's and he was in when Zach got possessed, that's he helped Zach out. Anyways, Zach, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Katrina was, they didn't mention my name or anything. So I watched it and I talked to Bobby Mackey's and all them, everybody at Mackey's, and I was like, what was actually said? Because I was like, I don't want there to be any bad mouth of me. So my heart's racing. I'm like, I really don't want to go in on these people too, because I will. They didn't say anything bad, just that I did it. And I said, you know what? I need to talk to Katrina. So they were doing an event at Pennhurst with Katrina, all the Ghost Hunter people, Steve, Tango, Grant, all them. So I met her up there, and it was great because as I'm walking up, she stared right at me. She's like, I know who you are. I was like, all right, great. So let's clear the way, like let's clear the air here. First, I did none of what you probably heard or did. I didn't slice my wrist. There wasn't blood all over the place. I did this, and this. I gave her a copy of Conjuring Mackey's. We talked for hours. It was really great. She's super intelligent. And what I love is they went back to Bobby Mackey's for like a number 2 or review or whatever with Jack. And I love that. I decided to watch that one because somebody told me that they did talk more about it. And Katrina's like, so I finally met him and he did admit to doing everything that he did. And I love Jack's expression on his face because I moved to him. And I love when Katrina said, maybe we should have him join us and we'll do some extreme hunts. And they turned the camera to Jack and he was just like, oh, like scared, like nervous to do it. And they laughed and everything, but no talk has been of me joining. It's probably not going to happen ever. Just networks aren't ready for that kind of thing. But that's how that got all brought up. They just through the grapevine heard about it and I thought it was really cool, but my name was never mentioned. But I do still get to this day when people ask me, hey, have you heard of that guy that bled on a Ouija board, like in the well, and they don't know that it's me that they're talking about. And I'm like, really? What happened? Like, because I want to know what they heard. And then I go and tell them like, okay, well, that's actually not true. This is what happened because I'm that guy. And so, yeah, that's still talked about. Now that was about 2 years ago, but I love that. I love that.
So that got around. What's your favorite all-time piece of evidence that you've kind of gathered so far? Because you've done quite a lot of footage, haven't you? You've done quite a lot of filming.
Yeah. Evidence-wise, I would say there's a lot. Like I would have to say Bobby Mackey's only because the EVPs were there after the news. That was, man, that's a hard one because there's always more. I have more questions than answers afterwards, and it's annoying. There was a piece of footage that's on Superior Paranormal's page on YouTube that I don't do anymore that I put up, and that's at Willow's Weep. I don't represent them anymore. I didn't even want to mention them, but I was holding the camera, and you actually see a shadow figure form and run by, and people were like, that's could be your hand. So I did a footage of it, and that's when I explained. I said, well, it's IR light. If my hand goes in front of that, you're going to see a huge shadow of lights everywhere. It's going to cover the screen. I said, it's not my hand. Like, I slowed it down. That was really cool because after that happened, I said, I hear something to the right of me, and I didn't know that shadow was picked up till I reviewed it, and I thought that was really cool. But I would still say Bobby Mackey's. Like, I always go back there, and I think probably because they make it like home to me, I can do whatever I want there, unlike other locations. And I did. I picked up the EVP there. I picked up some other dark things there. But even at my house, like when I go live, a lot of that's really cool too. I picked up my mind just went blank. What's the Ouija board, the demon for the Ouija board's name?
Zozo.
Zozo. Yeah. Zozo. People have heard him come through live on the Spirit Box when I said, are you good or are you evil? And it says Zozo. And so that was really cool. I say there's just so much like different things that I enjoy, but that's such a hard question.
Yeah,
because there's so many good ones that are, I guess it depends on my mood. Like, am I in the mood to watch a shadow figure? Because if that's the case, then Willow's Weep. Or EVP, definitely Bobby Mackey's. So
I mean, one thing that a lot of I've not come across a paranormal investigator that hasn't talked about this, about bringing experiences home. So, having stuff, especially when you're doing a big run of ghost hunting, whether it's private investigation or whether it's going out events or whether it's going out and doing its teamwork, that people often get sort of blips after it where they have paranormal activity going off in their property. Is that something you've experienced as well?
I was gonna mention that like to the previous question but I didn't document that, so I didn't want to like bring that in. But the aftermath effect is that what you're at, like the aftermath of everything?
Yeah.
The aftermath of everything is very real. For me, because of what I do and how I do things, I know for me it's very real. And I experience it on a new level mentally. Like I could get extremely depressed. I could get very suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily for me, I express that on social media and all my emotions and what I'm feeling. So that helps me. I can't speak for other people. I don't know, because a lot of people love to sage and do all this stuff, and I don't do that. I don't sage before. I don't sage after. I've never cleansed myself, not once, not ever will I. I don't just. It's a preference. I want to feel it all. I want to enjoy it all. I want to hear these voices. I want it all to happen to me personally. So I love the aftermath effects. It's scarier in my opinion because in my house in Florida, I see these things, I hear them all the time, and it can be scary because it's inside your house. You know, you feel it. So it can be scary, but it's to me, it's a very real thing.
And what's the most terrifying experience that you've had, whether it be at home or whether it be sort of out and about investigating?
I'm terrified of the dark. I know that's so weird, but yeah, so all of it. If I have to go in the dark, I'm terrified of all of it. So like I get so freaked out instantly, but I try to like not get freaked out to let my mind like, okay, nothing's here. But my house, I would say everything that I've done live at my house is probably more haunted than any other location I've been to. But that's where I first started bleeding on the board, really opening it up, telling these things to come. Numerous mediums have messaged me and said that they're lurking outside. They are outside. They see these things. They are there. The most intense time that I had at my house is I was live and people tuned in and said that they could, and it's dark when I do it at my house. I turn all the lights off. I live in the country. There's no lights. And I'm doing a spirit box session and people were saying that the mediums could visualize these things in front of me, and I started getting real freaked out, and I could hear hooves and moving on the tile coming up to me. And other people addressed this before I did, because again, I don't want to talk about what I'm hearing to manipulate it. But when other people heard it, I was like, okay, you guys heard that too. Like, I'm really freaking out right now. And that night I actually slept with all the lights on the couch, and I was seeing things everywhere. That was probably the first time that I've seen since I was a kid, or the second time, because I did see something in St. Augustine, but this was the first time I was looking at my TV, and a reflection was through the TV behind me, and it was like of a little boy peeking around the corner. Like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I was like, okay, all the lights are coming on now. I don't know what was said during that investigation. I don't know what I did, because I do the same thing all the time, but that really creeped me out. The light in my actual room came on by itself. I remember that. That was probably the most intense thing, but I love it. Like I'm the type that I want to be as close as possible to it, and I'll push the limits to where I'm borderline dying and dead, just to be able to see if that brings me closer to the afterlife. If I could kill myself and be brought back to life, I would, just to be able to experience it even closer. It doesn't scare me to do that, and I'm willing to do that. I'm actually been in talks with some medical people that I definitely will not be able to talk about, who are willing to do such things. And I think that's going to be for something, a 5-year thing that I've been in the works for.
That's pretty extreme. That's pretty extreme stuff, isn't it? You know, taking it to that degree. Is there anything that within this, other than the fear of the dark, which I think is a very natural thing, is there anything that you just think, I really wouldn't want to come face to face with that? I really don't want to have that experience. I don't want to meet that energy, or I don't want to see that, or is there anything that kind of brings on the chills with you that you don't want to be involved with?
No, I want it all. And I know a lot of people that will watch those, well, that's because you've never encountered evil. Well, how do you know? Because I said that? No, I feel like that is the answer to what we need. Like asking the lady in white, little Susie, to play with their teddy bear is not giving you an answer. Everything that I've done thus far, I feel like has given me more answers, and those who join me more answers. And I've done a darker side of things with sigils, with chants, with rituals. And there was this one thing that happened to me at my house. I was sleeping and I woke up terrified. I could feel something breathing down the back of my neck, terrified to roll over. My dream, however, was I was in a subway, and this made me really feel like this is what's attached to me, and this made me want to do even more darker. I was getting off in my dream out of like a bus, and everybody was around. There was an aisle for me to walk through, chanting my name, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, it got quiet. I looked to the right of me. There was this tall figure slunched over with its hands very long, dragging with its wrist bent like this, walking on the ground, walking straight. Its head stayed towards me the whole time, looking at me. And everything got silent except for that. It went behind a pillar. I woke up instantly and felt this thing breathing down the back of my neck. And I thought it was just a dream at first until a lot of mediums and psychic people reached out to me and said, you have this tall, dark figure that is attached to you. And I was like, oh my God. Like, cause I never mentioned this on Facebook because it was a dream. Like, I'm like, I'm not going to really, it was a dream. But when they started describing something that I never mentioned, I was like, oh my God, like, is this really here? And that fascinated me. So I know dark things. When I do dark rituals and chants, I'm not just Googling the top site on Google. Like, I get really in depth with it. I know each demon has more than one sigil. I know how to pronounce their actual name. I know it's so deep. It's a religion in a way, and it goes way deeper than what TV shows tell you. It goes way deeper than just saying, come to me. It's intense, and I won't get too deep into that because I don't want to share it and have somebody crazy go around and start doing things, because I know how real it can be. I got the burn marks on my forearm. I got scratched all the way down my side at one point. So I know what is there, and I want it all. I want to see it. I want to feel it. I want to experience it. I want to document it. I want the scariest of the scariest. I don't want the little white lady in dress, the lady in white, to come talk to me. I don't care about her. She's not important to me.
I mean, where's your perspective of? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a demonologist. I do know quite a bit about it, because as a paranormal investigator, you kind of need to give yourself the breadth of understanding of what you may be dealing with. And one of the things that springs to mind is when you're dealing with those kind of energies, they are trickster energies. So they are energies that will portray themselves as something else, and they will come across as something else. But something that does happen when you have these kind of attachments is they can go very quiet, and they can just deal with a person to send them mad, basically, to give you depression, to make you ill, and they do it on that low level and keep chipping away at that low level. So for me, there's always that that element that you might not get the evidence, because that energy is clocked, that's what you want, and it's not going to give it you. Is that not a fear for you, that having these energies around you, it's going to physically and mentally have, a real negative effect in your life? Is that something that you understand the vastness of, and is that something that you worry about?
I understand it. When it first all started happening, and you're right, it does. Like, that's what a lot of people think. They're like, they don't realize that these things, if they are in your life and they do attach to you, they just chip away at you. They're not just automatically going to show themselves and give you what they want. And they're going to chip away at you and stay with you for years and years and break you down to where you can't say that it's a demon. No, because now it looks like you have a mental illness. No, you got sick from something else. And in reality, could it be a demon that did it? You know it is, but you can't prove it. That's why it's very difficult. There was a transition in time. I was very depressed. I tried suicide 2 or 3 times. 2 times. All right. Well, I tried it 2 times. The third time I went to go try it, and I stopped myself, and I said, you know what? I then realized this isn't me.
Yeah.
I'm feeling emotions that I've never felt. I'm like, hold on a minute. These aren't my thoughts. It was in a different tone. I was hearing these. I was feeling something. I was like, I need to really focus on what is happening right now. And I did. And I now can feel the difference between, is this me or is it something else? And so I don't fear it now. Like before I was a train wreck. I would flip out on people so bad, so bad. Oh, just instantly, like curse at them, yell at them, get the fuck away from me, this, that. And I was aggressive, and I just never cared to understand why, until one day like I said, I went to go kill myself again and try to. And it registered in my head, this is not me. Something is happening. I've hurt friends close to me. I've done this. I've lost friends. And I stopped and focused and tried to think back on those moments. And it was like, man, that wasn't even my tone, because I started thinking about the people that said that wasn't you. There was one person that said when I was working at a gym, they looked at my eyes and said that my whole tone changed into a kid's voice, like almost going through puberty. And I was 32 years old. My voice just dropped, and they said your eyes were different. They were glossy. I don't remember that. I remember the conversation I had with them at that time, but I don't remember my voice changing. They do. And I started thinking about these things like, okay, I have something here with me. Now it's time to understand it and know that I'm in control. And once I started doing that and understanding the feelings of that, I it's not scary to me anymore. Is where I'm kind of going with it, is because I understand it. There's times where I can't. Yesterday, for instance, I actually was getting really depressed, and I took a deep breath. I was like, man, I got all these things coming up. I got this show here today, because yesterday I was like, tomorrow I got this other network I'm doing with millions of followers. I'm filming this. Why am I depressed? I put myself in this position. I'm fit. I'm still doing the modeling. I'm trying to boost myself up. And because I realized something is happening. These are not my emotions. This is not who I am. This is who I am. And I tapped out of it, boom, and got it together. So I know depression is a real thing. Like, I'm not saying that everyone that goes through depression, that's a real chemical imbalance. That's a scientific, real medical thing. I do have it, but I know that if I'm feeling something randomly for nothing to even remotely trigger it, and I can feel, I just know the difference, because I know who I am. And a lot of people don't know who they are. They really don't. You ask them who they are, they're going to tell you about their family and their job. Well, that's not who you are. That's what you do. Who are you? And not a lot of people can answer that. But when you really find out who you are, then you're going to really be able to understand, do you have an attachment? Is there something wrong with you? Or you really open up a whole new realm of who you are as an individual. So I suggest everybody do that. Like, figure out who you are.
Definitely agree.
Like, yeah, spend hours and hours alone. If you're going to cry, you're going to get terrified, and people get terrified because they don't know who they are. Like, you're afraid to be alone because you're afraid to really discover that you suck. Like, you suck because you don't know anything about you. And that's sad, that you know more about other people than you know about yourself. And I think when people can just do that, tap into that, you're going to really define demons, spirits, who you are. And ever since I did that, it elevated my paranormal game for sure.
Where are you talking about demons? What is your sort of take? What's your philosophy on what demons are? Do you come from a religious background? Do you have sort of any kind of religious upbringing? Is that kind of something that's modeled it, or what do you think demons are?
I have no idea, honestly. I don't come from a religious background. I've been to church here and there. Like, if friends want me to go with, or a girlfriend wants me to go with, all right, whatever, I'll please you. Let's go. But man, demons, because like I said earlier, like, it's like a religion as well. It is like you have gods in the demon world. You have gods in the Christianity world, or whatever world it is that you religiously believe in. You all have your own gods and your own Greeks and whatever. That's such a tough one, because I don't know. Like, I've never, it's like, I knew you're going to ask this question, but it's
a massive question though, isn't it? It's a huge question.
It is, like, and I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, well, demons are real. Baal's real. Lucifer's real. Zozo's real. All these demons are real. Well, I mean, are you sure? Just because you see a picture of it, and I mean, none of us has ever seen God. Yeah, we see a picture of him, we believe in him, we gave him a purpose, but I mean, still, like, in reality, nobody's ever seen him. Nobody's ever seen Jesus. We have a picture of him. So it's the same concept. And it's one of those, like, I'm not a seeing is believing kind of guy. I'll tell you this, I feel more darker energy on me than I do Jesus and God. And that's not because I believe in both the same amount. I don't believe, I'm not saying I believe in one more than the other. I'm just saying that I believe in darker energy a lot more. And that's not because of all the darkness going on in the world. That's just because I dabble into it more. And I've tried both sides. I've tried the light side. I've tried the dark side. I get more responses from the dark side of things. And so I'm going to go with it because that's what I want. I want to document things. And so do I believe in demons more than I do the heavenly stuff? Absolutely. I know we call it demons because we have to give everything a title and a name just so we can understand it. So I get that. Like, everything has to have a name just so we can relate to it and have a conversation about it. But I mean, I've written out sigils. I've offered myself to them. I even said at one point, I was like, you give me anything, you give me all the money, give me fame and fortune, I will let you have my life at the age of 55. Take my life and I will be a servant to you. I'll be whatever you want me to do. Like, I've done things like that to prove whether it's right or wrong. And I will say that I don't have riches, but I will say a lot of people know who I am. And that kind of happened after that. But so is it real, or was that the law of attraction and me putting that energy out there? Because that's a very real thing as well. And a lot of successful people know that. So it teeter-totters between so much. And I don't know if it's just such a tricky thing. I know, because every other paranormal investigator will be like, they're demons and I don't mess with them. Okay, why? And they never have a reasoning as to why. It's just because they're told not to. It's just like a Ouija board. They're told not to, but they don't have any reason as to why. And I try and tell people all the time, like, not to go back to being an arrogant or sound cocky, but I'm very fit. I do modeling. I do this. And I tell them all the time, if the Ouija board is that bad and demons are that bad, then why do I look like how I look? Why do I inspire you? And why do I inspire all these other people? Why am I on magazine covers? Why am I doing so well in life if demons are so bad? Like, if they're that big, I encourage people to go talk to them, because if they're making me live this good of a life, go talk to them. Because.
And what response do you get from people with that? What's the general response?
Nothing bad, actually. Like, they're usually just like, okay, or, well, how do I do it? Or then they'll send me pictures of them actually bleeding on a Ouija board. And I'm like, oh, okay. We took it to I didn't expect you to go do that, but okay. There you go. That's step number one. Oh man, what is happening? My phone's gonna, like, turn off here. It's getting too hot. Hold on, sorry. Let me turn the AC up. But never any hate. I really don't get that much hate from saying something like that, surprisingly. Or they'll just block me. They usually don't get into a big debate with me, or they'll just say that I need Jesus or I'm wrong. Nobody really argued with me because, and I feel like they can't, because in reality, what I said was, I was on the magazine covers. I did have the TV show. I am fit. I was just stating facts as to that. They could see that. So how are you going to argue that I'm wrong when you obviously see what I'm saying is right? So they don't really try to debate me too much with it. Just, I need Jesus, or that's it.
So you obviously understand sort of things around spiritual nature, and you say you don't cleanse and you don't sage and you don't sort of do the kind of general protective things that paranormal investigators do, because you want to leave yourself open to the experiences. And I have heard that many times before, where people have said, these experiences are more important than kind of your own safety. Have you got somebody who watches you back? Have you got somebody who's kind of got you back when times get a bit tricky on a spiritual level?
No, because they get scared when it happens, and I've had them run out of the room. I've had them just, no, I don't. Like, I mean, Facebook, like, I'll go vent on Facebook, and I got people that will message me and be like, this is it, let's do this. I'll do things like that. But I kind of just handle it on my own
Mm.
because my thoughts get so, sometimes when I can't express it and I try to express it, I hear the same thing from people like, just keep doing you. You'll be
Yeah.
okay. Do you, do you, do you. Let go of the negativity. I'm like, that's not helping. Like, I don't need to hear that. Like, I can get deeper with myself than listening to people try to,
Yeah.
and I get they have good intentions, but that's not, I just feel like I can do it better myself. And when I'm in that position where I feel like I'm about to lose control because of these darker entities, I tend to not reach out, because if I hear something ignorant like that, in my opinion, at that time that it's ignorant, I flip out, and that's not me. That I
Yeah.
could tell at that point something is trying to overtake me mentally or spiritually or physically, emotionally. So I won't reach out to anybody because I don't want to hurt a friend or a fan or a supporter, and I have before. And
Yeah.
luckily, they're diehard fans, and they don't go anywhere. But I explained to them later, and they understand though what it is that I do, so they're understanding of it. But I don't have anybody, just Facebook. I just go and vent and express, and it helps. That helped me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that I do too that I'll type out on social media and then just erase it, because just getting it out there, it makes me better. And knowing that I could just let the world see it, but some things I don't let them see. So I save it for interviews like this, because I feel like it's easier to express verbally than a couple sentences and people get the wrong idea. So, but no, there's nobody I call. There's nobody I talk to on location. There's nobody that if I feel like I'm sick, I've never said, get me out of here. I say, keep filming. Do not stop filming this. Don't stop filming. Give me the camera. If you want to go, I'll hold the camera. This is what needs to be seen. And this is what the world needs to see. Real reality, because of those who have seen my footage, it's not really 4K. It's not scripted. It's not me falling over like, oh, my belly hurts. No, it's me. I don't know, because I don't watch my own footage. So honestly, I don't know what it is I do, but it's not over dramatized like that. So no, to answer your question and me not ramble anymore, no, I don't.
So I mean, you have up to now really pushed the boundaries with things. You know, with lots of different aspects. You know, the bleeding on the Ouija board, the noose, the gun to your head, the kind of, you know, allowing that kind of energy to come into your life and those kind of things. What's next? I know you briefly touched on, but you can't talk about that kind of passing over and then coming back. So what's next for you? Where are those boundaries going to be eked again?
At Edinburgh Manor, I tried to drown myself, and that didn't work too well at all. I don't know what happened there. That actually was, I filled up, and I'm actually starting to edit that footage together and get it out there. I'm gonna try to get it out there before the 20th of September. Took forever to fill these gallons, a bucket up, to fill this tub up, and they'll probably ban me for life when they see what I did there, because definitely not supposed to fill the tubs up there. They haven't been used since the crazy days. But people there used to get pushed underwater, and that was how they got the insanity out, or the whatever mental situation they had. So I wanted that to happen to me. The second, I was actually so terrified of getting pushed under. Like, normally I'm like, let's do this, like, whatever. But I laid there and I was like rocking back and forth. I was like, all right, push me under. I did not want to go under for whatever reasoning it is. And it's not like it was deep. I'm in a bathtub. And when I got pushed under, I instantly came up and I started throwing up and like gagging and everything. And I tried to go under again. And it was so weird. Like, I explained afterwards why, when I put my clothes back on and I was walking to go get dry clothes on, Zach was filming me, and I was like, dude, I don't know what it was, but I could not go under. Like, I can hold my breath for about 2 minutes. I don't know if that's long or not. I don't know, but I don't smoke. I'm very in shape. I do cardio, so I can hold my breath. For some reason, it was not about it. Like, I'd go under, and I'm trying to actually force myself to come up. Like, I didn't feel danger. I just felt like something there, as they're pushing me under, something was trying to push me up, like, to not do this. And it was a very weird feeling. So that's going to be released soon. I am going to catch myself. Oh, I'm not going to say that. I'm gonna remove a tooth. I'm gonna get one of my teeth ripped out. There's a place that has, whenever they would bite, like, the patients and everything, or not the patients, I'm sorry, whenever the patients would bite the staff or whatever, their punishment was, we're ripping all your teeth out.
Wow.
You can't bite us. So I'm going to be strapped down and just yank one of my teeth out. Let's see if that residual energy will spark it up. But so that's going to happen. I'm going to hang upside down on a cross again, but I'm going to have snakes on me next time to bite into me. So the blood drips. There's a purpose behind all of this too. Like, it's not just like, oh, this place looks fun, let me just go set myself on fire just for fun. Like, there is a purpose behind why I do it. That's pretty much it. That's like the most, there's nothing else I could really think of that at the moment. I know that's like crazy that I haven't done. I'm sure there's going to be some, but I can only go as crazy as, or intense as what's happened in a location. If it hasn't happened, I'm not just going to do it. So if nobody died there from anything crazy and they just died from tuberculosis, I'm not going to give myself tuberculosis to find out. You know, I'm not going to give myself coronavirus to see how somebody died. It's just, I'm not going to do that. So, but I will jump out of windows. I will get pushed out of windows if somebody jumped to their death. I will do that. I'll do so things like that. That's all coming up. It's all coming up in the near future. There's a lot that I want to say, but I don't want people to copycat what I'm gonna do next, because I know there are a lot of those out there right now trying to do what I do. I've seen them, and they're doing it. They're making what I do look bad. So then when I do it, people are then saying that I'm copycatting them, and I'm not a fan of that whatsoever, because I am far from that. But yeah, there's a lot more intensity that's going to be. Oh, I will tell you this, because I know nobody's going to do this. I am going to actually get shot with a bullet in the stomach for Conjuring Mackey's 2. It is going to come up on number 2. So that's going to be intense. And I got the A-OK for that to happen. That's going to be, I'm going to have EMS on standby. I'm going to have all the proper people on standby.
So future filming, you've got filming coming up then, so you've got your sort of raw documentary stuff up. And where do people find that? Where do people find, because I'm sure people watching this will be really intrigued to watch some of the backdated stuff that you've done. So where can they find you?
Right, you can go to, if you want to watch, so you can go to, just search my name on YouTube, pretty much. I don't really want people to like pay for my stuff. I feel like it's more, I want people to see it. I don't feel like I want to make a profit in this field unless a network is paying me to do it, because then that's my job. But you can go to Amazon Prime as well, where I did Haunted Tours. There's only one season. I quit for season 2. I didn't want to do it with them anymore. That's where I put the gun to my head. That's where I laid on the train tracks. That's where I did more of the 4K. This is TV kind of stuff. But I still made it very real. It was still very real. It was a real gun. It was loaded. I had to take the bullets out of the gun. I had to show that they were coming. Like, it's a very real thing. And YouTube. Then you can go to YouTube and find me, my older stuff with Superior Paranormal. You'll see Conjuring Mackey's on there with the noose around my neck with the razor blade. You'll see, you could Google me. I think there's a lot that pop up too. There's a lot of images and things that pop up. I don't have some of it out yet, like the hanging upside down on a cross, of 8-foot cross. That's not out yet because I'm still trying to make it make sense. I don't want to just throw it out there. I like, if I'm going to release like a 30-minute something, I want it to just make sense to a story, and I don't have a story for it. It's kind of just like a clip, and it's just not my style to do it that way really anymore. It was in the beginning, but it's not. So, but people can just go to YouTube or search Haunted Tours on Amazon Prime if you have it, or again, just Google my name, and I know Haunted Tours will pop up. All those things will pop up. And
any events?
Facebook.
Any events for public coming up? Any events where you're going to be taking the public out with you?
Yeah, other than the one, now coming up September 20th. I'll be at Edinburgh. I'm doing an event for that, and tickets are $50. And that's going to include everything. That's going to include free food. That's 18 hours of being in the building.
Wow.
That's never heard of. Most people get 6 hours, 4 hours. 18 hours inside. We could sleep inside the building on the beds that these patients slept in. We're going to eat food in the cafeteria where these patients ate food. I'm actually then going to show Conjuring Edinburgh while we eat inside the same area where all this stuff took place at. I'm going to do everybody's going to get a free 8x10 photo of their choice. If they want to be drowned, if they want to have a noose around their neck, if they want to portrait with their friends, I got a professional photographer that will take one good photo of them, included in the price, which I'll then put on my computer, print it out. It's going to be a very glossy, nice 8x10. That's included. I'm going to have one gift bag for everybody as well. There's so much that's included for $50. Like that's, they've never heard of. Most people charge like $150, $200 for something like that, and that's just to go stand there and do nothing. So this is going to be a very hands-on thing. 18 hours, like I said, it's a very long time. But it's just, I want people to have an experience in this field. I want people to really see the real deal. And I feel like if anybody can give them that, it could be me. It'll be me. At least in the States. I don't know how it is overseas. I don't know who runs things over there, but I'm gonna run things over here, make sure it's done right.
Is that the dream? Is that so that was going to be my final question, really, about what the dream is for the future moving forward. What's the big vision?
The big vision is to not take Zach's position. I don't want that. I want people to see the truth. I want people to know the truth. That is it. Like these shows are not the truth. I know I've been behind the camera on set. It's not the truth. I want people to see that what I do is very real and very truthful and be respected at the same time. I want to revolutionize the field, and I feel like that's my dream. And I don't want to do it with just randomness. And I feel like I'm doing that already. I feel like I'm doing that. I don't know. Like, I don't know where the big picture is going to end. It's never going to end. I'm going to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And I'm just going to let everybody else decide where I go. Like, I'm going to let people come and take me to the height that I'm supposed to go to. So would I love to be the next up there, like up the Travel Channel dude? I mean, eventually Baggins has to fall down. Somebody's going to come in and do it. But I don't know if I want that title or that position, because I know how networks mold you to what they want. And I guarantee you they are not going to let me bleed on a Ouija board on the Travel Channel, chanting weird shit, hanging upside down, letting snakes bite me. Like, people aren't ready. But then again, maybe they are. It's 2020. It's all in movies already. Maybe they are ready for it. Maybe they're not. But if they're ever ready for it, I do believe I'll be ready. Go time. Let's go. Take me and I'll do it. Definitely. But, yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is, like, I got some books coming out. I just want the truth. I just want the truth. I want people to understand how equipment works, the knowledge behind this, and don't be afraid. Like, it's not as real. It's not as real as what, in my opinion, as these people make it out to be. Like what is it? The Conjuring, the Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
It's not as, you could cuddle with that thing. You're not going to get possessed by a demon. Like, you're just not. Like, it's Hollywood. And I just want people to really understand that, because surprisingly, not a lot of people really understand that. Like, I've seen it in Facebook groups and everything where they're posting pictures. They'll go outside, the sun's glaring through every window in the house, and they open up all their windows, take a picture of a mirror, and they're like, oh my God, there's a demon right there. Like, well, that's a glare, but they'll argue with you to blue in the face. And unfortunately, they're learning that from TV and YouTube and fake things. So ultimately, I just want to push that aside, let people see real. And if I have to be an ass to get my point across, I absolutely will, because in the end, I will be, everywhere you turn within the paranormal, you're going to see my name on it somewhere, somehow. That's going to happen. And it's just how it is. So,
I'm sure it will. I genuinely am. You definitely pricked my interest on your social media platforms, and you're very interesting to sort of watch your developments and where you're going. And like I said earlier, your honesty, it's really refreshing to see somebody being very, very clearly honest and about emotional subjects as well. It's nice to see that element. I know I've kept you for nearly an hour now, which is fantastic. We've had a really good ramble, and I know sort of time's very precious for you. What I'll do is I'll put all the links to, if you're okay with your Facebook, your social media platforms, and to any bits of footage that people can have a look at. it's been an absolute pleasure, and just such an interesting talk from the perspective of somebody who's very, very comfortable with the kind of darker side and working with the darker side of the paranormal. It's I'm hoping it will open up a lot of questions, if nothing else, amongst the community.
I hope so.
Yeah, I definitely think it will. I think that these kind of extremes will kind of generate hopefully some really good mature debates about the world of paranormal and where we go and how we develop as a community as well, you know. And unfortunately, you were saying that you found the paranormal community is not particularly supportive within itself where you are. I did say, you know, over in the UK, it seems a lot more supportive. I think it's because we're smaller, that everybody knows everybody. It's such a small community, so everybody knows everybody else. But I wish you the best of luck, and please be safe. All the way through that conversation in my head, I'm going, please be safe. I've just got this maternal thing going off, you know, don't cut yourself too hard, and make sure that you're safe both spiritually and physically. I'm sure you will. You don't need me telling you that, but it was just there, just kept coming forward.
It still feels good to hear. Feels good to hear.
Good. Thank you so much. Just stay on when I hit stop on the record, because I want to say a thank you to you. So thank you very much, and I'll let you know when this is going to go out. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.